What happens when we die? What happens to us when we die? For starters, I must mention the disclaimer that these are my truths, truths that I have gathered after 47 plus years of researching and going through life experiences. But for extra starters, we in the Red Text Fellowship do not use the words die. We simply cross over. We don't use the word die. I believe when we leave this realm, we leave much earlier than we think. I believe when our death comes, we leave our bodies much earlier than what others witness. For example, a motorcyclist gets hit by a truck. The witnesses see the terrible event, but the actual rider leaves his or her body minutes before the impact. The rest of the accident is but a play for all to witness. The universe knows when your time is at hand, but comfortably takes you out of the situation before you are in the death of the situation. This will go for the dying child who is brutally murdered and the being who is in the last seconds of hospice. Again, these are my truths. But what will we see once that moment of death comes? In 1986, I was in a 19-hour coma, only 19 hours. Within that time, I witnessed 7,000 years' worth of my life. From 1986 back to 1969 when I was born, to 7000 BC, back to 1986, ahead to 2001, and forward to the year 2067. I saw magnificent things. Before seeing these magnificent things, I was asked a simple question, via inner voice. An inner voice asked me, "Would you trade your hate and jealousy for what you're about to receive?" I arrogantly said, yes, and once I said that, a beam of light stretched from a distance and seemed to grab me. Once I entered the beam, the magnificent movie began. But this story is not about my coma, it's about what happens to us when we die. Fast forward to today's times, I have learned a lot on a spiritual plane. After getting a glimpse of what the afterlife may be like, I began building my own afterlife. I am building the place that I will visit or live once I have left this realm called Earth. The new realm began with a simple tree. I have always found peace with trees. I can talk to them. I was even married in the forest. So the very first creation of my new world was the tree my wife and I were married at. Over the years, I added a long strip like a boulevard. On that boulevard are restaurants, music halls, and pavilions. Imagine visiting a pavilion where you can actually be part of an event in history, being invisible and standing right in the middle of the event. The first event I will visit will be the Pearl Harbor attack. It must have been crazy. How about visiting any time in your life and watching it from a third person? Or how about an art gallery that sells figurines, statues, or paintings of any event in your life? I would like to see a figurine of some pleasurable things my wife has done. Maybe you want to see a music artist who is no longer around. That concert hall is right there on the corner. Anyways, it is all there in my afterlife waiting for me. My wife is there, 28 years young, and I am 31 years young, even though we are the same age of 55 here on Earth. We have one child here on Earth, but in the afterlife, we have 3 children. The same child, but one is our child at the age of 4, at the age of 8, and at the age of 13. All the ages before she moved out. Cute, right? There are forests galore, animals, rivers, and beauty. The day is like sunrise and sunset for eternity, but there is no sun, just perfect light. More will be spoken on this subject in later videos. For the past 20 years, I have been engaged in near-death experiences, or NDE. I have listened to 100 stories, and 95% of those stories had a certain thing in common: forests, animals, and some type of water. Also, everyone who spoke about their experiences went through the light beam that I went through back in 1986. So what are the odds that our afterlife will be like this? My afterlife may sound pretty unreal, but let's look at the reality like this. The average human can tap into 3 to 10% of the brain, right? So this leaves 97 to 90% possibility. Wouldn't you say that just a smidgen of a chance is worth living a good path here on Earth? If there is just a 1% possibility I can get the afterlife I see in my head, that is definitely worth the effort of being a good human being. When the Christ first emerged from his cave, he saw Mary of Magdala, or Mary Magdalene. His first words to her were, "I have left this world with the aid of another." So think about that for a bit.